Hi, I'm Stephen David Horwich, and I'd like to introduce you to our upper school history program. Our upper school history program is really the core of our core curriculum for students ages 11 to adult. It consists of 11 really significant, massive courses in history. They're presented in sequence on the timeline. In other words, the 11 courses progress precisely how they occurred in history. We don't offer in upper school history divided by subjects. We don't offer a course on economics or politics or anything like that. Everything is integrated into the timeline of history. So as innovations in science, in religion, in any subject occur in history, they appear in the correct course at that moment in time. This was how Will Durant suggested history should be taught in many of his writings. He felt it should be on the timeline, and he felt that it should be integrated. We experience common day life, politics, economics, all of the elements of history, religion, as life. And they are integrated in our experience, and that was how Durant thought it should be taught. I agree with him, and that is how we teach it. Our first history course is called Prehistory. And we are a secular curriculum. If you're not interested in history prior to 6,000 years ago, and I understand there are people who are not, then the prehistory course probably will not be a course you'll want to do. If you're looking for a secular curriculum, it's a great course and you should do it. We do present in the prehistory course the scientific ideas current of how the world got here and how life started on Earth, and that sort of thing. We also present 11 different religions' beliefs on how life got here and Earth got here. We try to present a very unbiased view of these things so that the student can really decide for themselves what they would like to believe. And we present it in a very creative way so that the student can have fun experiencing all of these ideas while the student evaluates them for themselves. It's a terrific course. It's not a short course, but it's not as long as any of the other history courses by a considerable margin. A student can move through it quickly in maybe a month and a half to 2 months. History is to be done every single day of school, 180 days a year, approximately for an hour each school day. Of course, if you're homeschooling, you can have a far more flexible schedule. Your student may want to work history all day one day and put in 5 hours in a day, since we do recommend 5 hours of school per day in the upper school level. Or your student may want to spread it out day by day, or your student may want to not do history for a couple of weeks and then jam it for a couple of weeks and do a lot of it. It's up to you how you do it, but you do need to get through a fair amount of history every year. There is an awful lot of it, since it covers so many different subjects. The second history course covers early civilizations, and if you're not looking for a secular curriculum, this course should be fine. From the second course on, you shouldn't have any difficulties with it. We do present in historic context every single major religion. And when we arrive at that religion in history, we cover it in great detail. We really want this student to thoroughly understand the major religions, how they started, what people who practice those religions believe, how those religions are practiced today, and we provide a very, very thorough view into each religion as it occurs in history. So in this early civilizations course, which covers the Middle East, India, China, early civilizations, we have as an example the birth of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Judaism, and they're covered in great detail in the course as they occur in history. The course is quite lengthy. Early Civilizations is not a short course. It's a long course. It may take your student 3 to 4 months to complete. We've seen this before. It does push them in terms of literacy and reading skills. Your students are going to be working very hard. But it's an incredible course in laying the foundation for an understanding of what civilization is and how we got where we are. It also covers Egypt, by the way, which a lot of students say is their favorite section of the course. There are tests on these history courses after each large section, after each country or area of history is studied. The test should be given by a parent or tutor and scored by the parent or tutor. What we're looking for in the test is only one thing. What did the student not fully understand? In the test answer guides, you'll find page numbers next to each answer that allows you to know exactly where to send your student back to restudy the questions that the student may have missed. This is very important. It saves you from a lot of wear and tear as a parent or tutor, and it allows the student to know precisely where to go back to really acquire the information they didn't quite get. So that's the second history course for upper school, early civilizations. After that, we have history courses in Greece, in Rome, in the medieval period, a course we call the 3 R's, which is the Reformation, Renaissance, and Restoration. A tremendous course, wonderful fun, very creative, as you can imagine, since we're talking about the Renaissance and the Italian Renaissance and the English Renaissance and the Northern Renaissance. It's lovely. And then after that, we get to History 7. History 7 in upper school is American Civics. We call it an owner's manual. It is an owner's manual. It covers American civics so thoroughly that the student at the end of the course should have a very, very strong sense of how this country should operate, how it is operating, and where we're going off the rails as far as the Founding Fathers and the Constitution and documents like that. It even covers American holidays, American history, but it covers the Constitution sentence by sentence. As is true in all of our courses, each lesson plan is designed in the same way, and this is certainly true in American Civics. Locations that are going to be mentioned in the study materials are the first thing the student has to deal with, and he finds them on a map, globe, or the internet, so he knows where things are when he encounters them in his studies. The next thing we do is provide the student a list of key or difficult words that are going to be in the study materials for that lesson, and each word is given a single definition that applies strictly to the materials he's about to study. By doing this, the student really can understand the first time through the materials what he's being taught, and comprehension goes up very quickly and considerably using this methodology. The third step involves the materials themselves. Sometimes they're films. There are a lot of films in upper school history that you may need to find. Some of them are on the internet for free. Many of them are not. They're very easily found using Netflix or Blockbuster or something like that. But there are exterior materials attached to numerous of the courses. They are listed on our site. Please take a good look at those before you buy the courses so you do know what you'll be responsible for finding in conjunction to each course. Anyway, that civics course is a monster. Now, if you're not an American citizen or you're doing these courses outside of America and American civics is not for you, please feel free to skip the course. That's perfectly fine. It is really constructed as an American civics course to fulfill the requirements of American civics in most school districts in America. It fulfills those requirements and far, far, far more than that. The next courses involved European nations, European wars, the development of European nations, the French Revolution, a little bit of the American Revolution and Napoleon and how we got into the 18th century. The last history course, the 9th history course, deals with the 20th and 21st century, World Wars I and II, the atomic bomb, and history up to 2005 when I stopped writing history courses. The last 2 history courses are not really history courses. History 10 and 11 are really sociology courses, and they exist to allow the student to sum up their history studies and to figure out how they're going to use all this information in their lives today to improve conditions for themselves and for others around them. These are wonderful courses, creative, and a tremendous payoff for history studies. History 10 specifically deals with a book by Will and Ariel Durant, who are America's finest historians. Will and Ariel wrote at the end of their lives a tiny book called The Lessons of History. It's not very long, it's not very hard to read. Most adults can read it in a few hours. And it sums up everything they learned about history and how they thought it applied to our lives. This course is built around that very simple book, which is in print, so it's not very hard to get, not very expensive. And it allows the student to weigh the knowledge they have about history against what Will and Ariel learned about history and what it means today. It's a very creative course. Your students will love it, and you'll love the results from it because it really brings history full circle. The final history course is a research course and provides the student an idea of current history. What is going on today in the world? How can they apply what they've learned to improve conditions? It's a very important course, and it sums up really all of the students' studies in Connect the Thoughts, not just in history. So that gives you an overview of our upper school history program. It's a full 4 to 5 year program depending on how hard the student works. We haven't seen anybody do it in less than 4 years, but it could be done if your student was really fascinated by history and worked hard. We hope that you'll look at the samples of each course on our site. There are significant samples available. We hope you'll consider this rigorous, wonderful, creative history program for your student, and thank you very much for your time.